Hello, and welcome to episode 59 of the Dash Force free Amigos podcast. I'm Mark Mason, and I'm joined by my two fellow amigos, Joel Valenzuela. How's it going?
Yo, yo, yo.
It's free. It's rocking the west side, although you're on the east side. So do you go like that or like that? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't want to show you what I go like.
That's my Tyrannosaurus Rex impression. And by no means last, my fellow amigo Brian Freeman. How's it going?
Excellent.
Still a free man.
AKA Mastermind for all you dashers out there.
The ammo box is a little higher up there in the back.
Yeah. Well, it's been an amazing week and a half for me. I've just got back to the UK yesterday from New Hampshire, which I think should be renamed to New Dashire. And I should just want to publicly thank Joel for being a fantastic host. New Hampshire's definitely got it going on with the Dash movement there. Went to visit a few businesses, and obviously we kicked off with Porkfest, which was another roller coaster in itself. Joel, how did you find the whole experience of Porkfest? Because you actually put in a proposal for sponsorship of that event. So let's just clear that up first. Did the event go to plan? Was it what you expected, and was you happy with the outcome?
Yes. Well, first off, it's been my fourth Porkfest I've been to. I've been coming every year since 2014, except for 2017. So yeah, it's been it was everything that I hoped it would be. I mean, first off, we got all kinds of prime exposure. The pavilion had a giant Dash logo on the side. It's called the Dash Pavilion, and all the main events are going on in there. A whole bunch, and obviously I got a couple speaking slots. I got to form the crypto panel, which always helps, then rather than just be on a panel, but actually host and form it. And all the VIP ticket holders got a tumbler, a little coffee mug that said Dash on the side, which caused a little controversy when one of the Zcash people got butthurt by it and stuck a sticker over the edge. But hey, you ain't triggering, you ain't doing anything right. We're still getting the final counts on how many wallets we set up, but I do know that I had a remaining about 7.5 Dash that in the for proposal funds, and we gave them out in $20 increments and burned through that like really quickly. And then a few of us gave from our personal stuff, and then some people in the Discord gave another like 5 wallets worth. So we set up a whole lot of people there. And tons of merchants were taking it. A lot of people really like Dash. A few Monero trolls and other Bitcoin Core maximalists came by to get the free Dash. A couple of maximalists actually were like, one in particular who I know was like, oh, I'm not the biggest fan of Dash, but this thing is really amazing. So
Dash was there in force. Because we had the ultimate team. It wasn't just the talks. Like, I feel like we dominated the event. Like, practically all the merchants were accepting Dash. I was buying pizza. I bought some silver off some guy. There was loads of swag everywhere. And, you know, it wasn't just the Dash Force crew repping. We also had Joshua and Chuck swing by. So, like, oh, and of course, Danny from the Crypto Show, who was there with us as well. It was amazing. Like, we was there in force. So,
deep.
Yeah, we rolled deep through that place, and like the merchants and stuff reported that, you know, they were happy with the Dash transactions. Dash was everywhere. Actually, even on the official Porkfest T-shirt that they were selling and giving out, there was Dash branding everywhere.
The volunteer T-shirts had Dash on the back of them and everything. Could buy tickets with Dash. And that's the other thing, is the Free State Bitcoin shop was there, which was, of course, you could buy everything in Dash. And then the AnyPay folks are the ones who run the shop. And so they're setting everyone up with AnyPay. The Dash back was in effect. So a lot of people were buying coffees, buying stuff, and getting Dash straight back to their phone. I think they jacked up the amount a lot for Porkfest. So the people were just like, oh my gosh, it's raining Dash. I mean, it's a song, right?
And actually, the main keynote speakers there, Joel, obviously, but Jeffrey Tucker, Ben Swan, they were all like people that were pro Dash. So like, I just feel like we dominated the event. There was Dash everywhere. And I don't think it was that people were sick of it by the end, but it was just kind of like, you just can't deny the movement. You know, there was Dash coffee mugs and stuff, travel mugs they were giving out to people, everything. Like, Dash was like everywhere. Like, got Dash branded, you know. It's like, it's really sad when people just do things for money. You know what I mean?
Did they record these panels and stuff? I think I saw a picture of Joel on the panel. I don't know if there's a video.
They recorded some stuff. I really don't know. I know Danny recorded some of my talk because he showed up at noon in his pajama onesie with like a little recording rig, and so he was definitely ready to go. I do know, yeah, there's a few pictures out there, a few other things floating around. Speaking of which, though, I think the Free State Project's been a little late on doing these kinds of things because just today or just yesterday, they uploaded my Liberty Forum talk from March. And so I'm going to put that out on Monday in the video slot. But yeah, that's all up there. So they might have a little bit of a delay in the publishing of their videos. But yeah, it's all getting out there.
Right. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Jeffrey Tucker interview. Speaking of which, Chuck Superman Williams is joining us.
Hey guys,
hi Chuck,
glad to be here. Did you guys mention that? Yeah, I left it at home. Well, I am home, so never mind.
That was not smooth.
You guys mentioned that among the merchants, that Dash was like the most used currency, even compared to fiat, Bitcoin, and all that.
Yeah, I heard it was like over 70% or something like that, close to 75%. Yeah, fantastic news. Yeah, so actually, so Chuck arrived on the Friday, I think it was Thursday or Friday, and we both wanted to see the AnyPay POS solution physically working. So we went to go visit the merchants and check some of that out. Even managed to post a video on my Twitter of someone actually using it. The dashback was a very popular feature. Yeah, it was really great to see. I mean, Chuck, how did you feel about it? Because you've been involved in Dash, visionary, because you did the psychology like profiles as well, like for like people using Dash. So being at that event, seeing just random people going from merchants to actually using it, how did you feel about the PorcFest event?
Well, it was very encouraging. You know, a lot of the beliefs that I've developed about the user community, the user base, and the value of the use case itself were very much confirmed. Seeing it work in a microcosm like that, where people were just happy to trade back and forth, you know, and even more encouraging was the reception there wasn't very good. And even in an environment where the reception wasn't very good and you weren't getting very good network connection, people were still able to transact over, you know, that low quality network, which, you know, indicates to me that it's still going to be a viable solution in, you know, spotty coverage areas, especially as, you know, further technologies come out that are going to enhance network connectivity for you know, for those environments where the big companies don't want to build out. You know, mesh networks, I think, are going to be a big option, but that's a sidetrack. But it was very encouraging overall. It looks like a long-term
thing, though. One thing. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but we had a private conversation about this, so don't worry. It's nothing too revealing. But one big part of Joel's proposal, going around to all these Liberty Movement events, is he's been setting people up with Dash wallets up to $20, and it's great for showing proof of work and the images and stuff. And sometimes when people think about giving away Dash, they're not sure about it. It's like giving away free money. But we was having a conversation, and we actually think in terms of adoption, user adoption, as you mentioned, like an ecosystem, microeconomy at that event, it was instrumental. In fact, I don't think the event would have been such a success without it, because people were getting that $20 and actually then spending it on stuff. So they actually were using it, which is what we wanted. So we had a great conversation.
$5, people won't always bother for $5, especially if it's not $5, if it's $5 worth of the thing that they have to mess with. $10 is enough to get them to keep it and want it. 20 is enough to get them to keep it, want it, and spent it. And 30 to 50 is just like a lot. There's just too much. You got to make it work for something like that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the venue. Yeah, if it's like a meetup, or if it's Africa, Venezuela, $5 works. If it's the Liberty, something like that, I think it just depends on the venue.
First world event where you want them to spend it right there, $20 seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah, first world for sure. The context matters, right? I like to, when I think about this one, I like to think about what Jeffrey Tucker shared with me. He was having a lunch, and I don't know if you guys have seen this or where I got it from, but it's a video. You guys know he runs the Bitcoin Embassy, and every Wednesday they have like these hump day cocktail parties where they talk about cryptocurrency, and there's all kinds of people. They have hundreds of people coming in from all walks of life, and they just talk and they just hang out, and it's just their crypto tribalistic kind of gathering in Atlanta. And he was saying that there was a woman that came there many times, and he was having lunch with her one day, and he could tell by the way that she was talking about cryptocurrency that she didn't really have any. So he asked her, he says, "Do you actually own any cryptocurrency?" And she said no. And he gave her some right then and there. And since that day, according to Jeffrey, she just talks about it differently. And that's why I think, like, you're talking about money, right? You're talking about the use case of money. If you don't get people to actually do it, then they're not going to like internalize the experience, and they won't know, they won't be able to have their own experience. We humans, we judge things by experience. It makes them
staked. They have a skin in the game. They got stake. So they're not just going to Sybil attack the network or something. Oh, where did we hear this principle before?
So you have to get them to engage.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think their proposal is going to pass, but we were talking before the podcast. We're going to reach out to them through the Dash Force meetup contest presentation and see if we can help them a little bit with that.
Yeah, the Bitcoin Embassy proposal isn't, it's currently not passing. If you guys are masternode owners and you're watching, I think that's a great idea. I think everybody in the community knows I'm a big fan of community and supporting community events. And I think having a physical location where you can go to meet your people, to hang out with your tribe, I mean, that's gold right there.
So we need a compound, is what you're saying.
Well,
concentration trap.
Let's not do a disservice to Jeffrey. It's so much more than that. I think, unfortunately, where the proposal owner on Dash Central was under his son's name, Nick Tucker, a lot of people just didn't realize it was Jeffrey until the very last minute. And it's not just the meetup, it's onboarding merchants. Jeffrey's going to go around creating videos, but also visiting universities as well to talk about Dash. There's so much in that proposal. And I think, was it for like 40 Dash for a 3-month cycle? So it's basically putting Dash on the map in Atlanta. And in private, Jeffrey was sharing some of the demographics and use cases in Atlanta. And I really think like we should have, I'm a little bit upset, but I know it was a very tight month. I know the price is down. And we really need to support people like Jeffrey, even though he's not going to go through this month. We're a community, right? And we're all here because we're here for the movement in the long term. So I hope we can still keep Jeffrey on board somehow, whether it's through Dash Force or something else, because I've already heard good things about the Dash Embassy in Atlanta. And Jeffrey, what he was saying to me and Chuck was like, he was prepared to go all out, Dash banners, everything. There's already people, he's already getting high traffic for people going in there using the ATM. But one thing that's not made clear is it's like a co-working space. It's not just a monthly week meetup. People actually go in there to work about all kinds of things, and there was going to be a dedicated space for Dash peeps as well to go in and work in there. So if you're going to take over
I'm not
a city,
moving. Stop trying to make me.
Yeah. So like there was so much to this proposal, and I don't think it got the justice it deserved. And the same with Danny as well. Like, my God, did you see Danny's video today, the evolution teaser? I tweeted it out.
He's in the live chat talking about donkey shows, though, so don't say too much. It's sensitive.
Man, so like when Danny said that he was going to produce like 3 videos and stuff, I was like, okay, like short teasers and stuff. I thought, okay, animation. Now with animation videos, you never know how they're going to go. Now, Brian was a really big fan of the United Airlines like video thing, right? The What is Dash video, but it's a bit dated. So we've needed an update on that. Yeah. But when I saw this video today, the animation was great, but the narration, the voice sounded really similar. There was these smooth,
kind of like a 70s adult film.
Yeah, like
oh, come on now.
But yeah. So Chuck, tell us about that teaser video. How did that come about?
Yeah, Danny just approached me and said, "Hey, let's actually it came from a masternode owner. I think the original idea was like, hey, let's get something out there that really kind of promotes what this is about, something that's more public, something that we can put in front of business people and bankers that kind of educates them on the basics of what's coming, so that they can kind of build plans around what's coming up in the future." And I volunteered my services for this just to contribute, and hopefully we can get some momentum out of this, and we can leverage the knowledge that I have about what's coming with evolution and start to kind of build a case and structure what the expectations look like. And I think I'll continue to maintain a relationship with Core about those things, and so that we can make sure that the vector of these videos aligns with business plans and developer needs and community expectations and all these kinds of things. So it's a small project, but I think it should help to fill kind of a void that's out there.
So I'm very grateful to you, because actually at the PorcFest event, those that are subscribed to the channel would have seen that a couple of the videos conducted about proposals, both with Jeffrey Tucker and Danny from the Crypto Show, was actually performed by Chuck, who I kindly asked to do them for me, as I thought, why not, right? Because Chuck's got previous radio experience, if you didn't know. And there's a great chemistry between Danny, me, Chuck. But so what's going on with you and Danny? Like, because you guys are pretty close. Is there something? Are we going to see more of you? Because you've just done a show the other day with Danny on the Crypto Podcast. So is there more to this, or is this just a one-off?
Well, so I've committed to showing up on, I think it's going to be called the Digital Cash Evolution. It's going to be an AM radio show that'll be syndicated through Phoenix, Miami, San Francisco, and one other location. I can't remember it. I think someplace on the East Coast. But that proposal is in front of the network. Just as of today, it's passing. And, I'll be contributing everything I can, knowledge, expertise, network, to that show, and hoping to onboard, like, it's on Bloomberg Media, so I want to understand a lot about the demographics there. And I've got some investor friends and some retiree friends that I've been talking to about crypto, and they've helped me to kind of understand their needs from their perspective in what it takes to understand crypto. So I think I want to bring that to the table and contribute to the show, and hopefully get some broad-based reach into uncommon crypto demographics.
Yeah, that is passing. We were also talking about helping Danny out if that didn't pass, but it is passing. However, it looks like we're over budget. 6,224 Dash will be provided of the 6,176 available. So something is not going to make it. Hopefully Danny's does make it. If not, we'll help him out. And
Danny's a bargain, man. What's he asking for? Like 30 Dash. Bloomberg Radio. People are complaining, right, that they want more Dash exposure. Danny's been doing a phenomenal job going to all the events. He knows all the people. Yet now we're actually getting on Bloomberg Radio. People with money, right, interested in financial markets and stuff. And now he's not getting the support. And it's crazy. Absolutely. I think it's crazy. I love Danny. Think about who's doing the Dash Cares, who's actually going out there getting that exposure. Like, Danny is a true blue Dash fan through and through, and he's at every single event. He knows everyone, and he's actually helped us connect a lot of dots behind the scenes, and he's actually helped onboard a few businesses for Dash as well. So I don't know. I guess it's a loyalty thing, and there's always comes down to a lot of reputation in the community, and like Danny's just always there. Like you can always count on Danny, and that's why I'm like, well, I'm glad he's in the green now. But yeah,
Danny's got a big heart. He's always contributed to the space. One thing that I've always respected about Danny, he's always just been kind of ever present and pragmatic, and he talks to every business owner that he interacts with, and tries to get them to accept Dash. Sometimes it's an easy sell. Sometimes he works on them for years. And I think it's, he's dedicated to the cause in a way where it's just part of his life now, and like you say, he travels around and goes to I don't think he even has like a physical home anymore, like a residence in any state. He's living in his RV, just traveling from event to event, spreading the message of Dash. He's got it branded on his RV.
I personally am very grateful, because all of my events this year, maybe not Liberty Forum, I don't think he was there for that, but he was there at Libertopia with the RV and just had all kinds of pop-up banners and things like that. He just like, I got a big one here, I'm gonna put it on the stage, I got a big one there. He just starts popping them all up. And then we had like 500 shirts, and rather than give them to Alan, who's in California, or have just try to ship them back to New Hampshire with me before going to Texas, all that logistical stuff, he's like, oh, I'm going to be in Austin, I'll just put them in my RV. And so he just loaded them into the storage compartment. There you go. He just pops up in Austin runs the whole thing, also gives us all kinds of cool support and delivers all our swag and stuff. And then from there, he just takes that all the way up to New Hampshire and he just like parks right next to the Dash booth and just like, it's like he's like a mobile command center. It's like,
right. Yeah.
So
well, he sets up the Wi-Fi.
When you have like the construction vehicle to go pop up and your whole base can come out of that. That's kind of what Danny is. He's like the Dash mobile command unit. He should be like a helicarrier like floating above the whole world. You just like airdrop some Avengers or whatever. It's like, yeah, he's
right.
He needs like a shaved head like Mark and a eye patch or something. Yeah. He's like the Avengers commander up there.
Yeah, he saved the day, man, because we were all told in New Hampshire, because we was way up north, and like was told that in terms of like SIM cards and mobile operators, Verizon was the choice, but the connections was very, very patchy. And with the RV, Danny provided like a hotspot which covered the Dash booth. So even with people that were on T-Mobile and other things, we could connect them to the hotspot. So it just solved all those issues. It would have been such a headache without Danny. So props to that guy. Salute, Dash salute. A stay dashy salute to Danny.
Thanks, Danny. Shout out.
Yeah, man. So hang on. So let's flip the script now. So I don't want people to panic, but there's a reason why Chuck is on the show today. And I'm sure people might be wondering why. How is Chuck being able to come to the event, do a few videos for Dash Force, and now committing to doing a once a week thing with the crypto show? So
what's going on in your life?
I don't think this has been made public yet, and we wanted this to be on a community level. So Chuck, how do you want to approach this? This isn't doom and gloom, people. This is
no. I'll just
be doom and gloom if you want.
Well, I mean, very simply stated, my contract with Dash Core Group Incorporated will not be extended. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I mean, I think what it basically boils down to is that Dash Core is a very technology focused organization, and they're very focused on protocol development and delivering what's needed for the platform to succeed from a very technological perspective. And most organizations that I've worked at don't really know what to do with a UX practice, and I was working to build a UX practice. And demonstrating value. It's weird. It's just today I had a Twitter conversation with or a Twitter kind of communication with Alan Cooper, who's like the guy who created personas. He's very big in the UX space. He's the author of The Inmates Are Running the Asylum. And he had kind of a hard-hitting take on the value of UX within organizations. And basically his message was, look, if you have to demonstrate value to a manager, then there is no value. You're not providing any value. It has to be acknowledged and recognized within the leadership spaces. And it's difficult to kind of demonstrate that from a technical perspective. And, the UX practice was kind of under the technical arm of things. So I think it was just, and in addition to that, there were some structural changes. The corporation, the company, the organization changed from the time that I started in January 2017 to, basically today is going to be my last day with Dash Core Group. But I'm certainly going to be a member of the community. I will be contributing to the community as much as I can. This year and a half has been such an amazing ride. I've met all kinds of people, networked with all kinds of people, looking at, what's coming with Dash. I think they're on the right track. My perspective is it just takes time to get things out the door. Just before this, before I dialed in, I saw the 12.3 release. Bob Carroll, the new CTO, he's in a position where he's organizing his team. He should have an opportunity to kind of build the team that he needs to bring these steps forward. And from what I'm seeing, he's very driven to deliver success on a lot of things. And I wish Dash Core team the best. I think that there's a lot of great things coming. The 12.3 release coming out now is great. The 12.4 is even going to enhance things even more. I'm really excited about building on top of the DevNet and testing that kind of stuff. And stepping outside of Core is going to open up other opportunities for for me to engage with business owners on a one-on-one level, but also the community in ways that, you know, can create some back and forth. And I've also, I think, still got a very good relationship with Dash Core, such that, you know, Fernando on the marketing side can help to support community efforts, and we can create a very strong dialogue going back and forth. So, you know, it's a new space for me. I'm stepping out kind of on my own, trying to, you know, make a living doing whatever's needed for the community and the space. And it's a little bit scary. I don't have a lot of runway, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I mean, think about it. The core team has been the longest serving entity in the Dash ecosystem. And for people who wanted a job in Dash, they wanted to make this stuff happen. They wanted to advance the digital cash evolution. What happened is everyone's just trying to get into core. It's like, hey, you want to do work with organizing international outreach and translators? Well, that's just where you got to go. Oh, you want to go work with developing UX UI? Oh, that's where you got to go. You want to work with as a spokesperson on YouTube channels and stuff like that? Well, that's where you go. Everything kind of had to go in there because there was nothing else. But now the community's grown so much, and I've noticed this whole it's kind of like a little nostalgic, because, and obviously people like Brian will feel this even more because he's been around way longer than I have. But like in the beginning, like late 2016, you know, it's like Evan's running the core team and Baby Giraffe is just the finance guy, right? You know, Ryan Taylor's just the little finance guy. Still has this little tight-knit family kind of thing, and then where some people's job descriptions are kind of like up in the air. It's like, what the hell does that guy do? I don't know. He just around, we give him stuff to do, and just this kind of whole fun little random family thing. And then now it's being like tightened and expanded into a well-oiled, it's almost unrecognizable. Like the way the Dash Core group is looking today is like a polished tech company and not this little ragtag group that's so familiar to the rest of the crypto space. And for me, that means two things. First off, it means that Dash is getting serious and something that companies are going to be able to trust, that this is going to be a team that delivers. And second, what this means is most crypto projects still have that strong ragtag cypherpunk kind of quality to them that now is moving out of the Dash core team, but it's imperative it stays in Dash somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, that kind of touches on something that I realized over time when you kind of described it in a way. When I first came to Dash, I looked at core as like this thing with a thin layer of the community around it. Right? Like I thought that core was the vector, and the community just kind of followed core. But now I'm realizing, you know, core is like the sun, and we've got all kinds of things orbiting around it, but we've got a whole galaxy that represents the community. You know, all these different things going on. You've got Kuva Cash project, you've got what's going on in Venezuela, you've got Africa, you've got all these different bright stars of activity that really don't have a lot to do with specifically core, but do depend on core in kind of a utility kind of way. So yeah, I'm excited about like just engaging with the community and moving forward, both in terms of, you know, community activities and business activities and all kinds of growth opportunities.
Yeah, let's talk about 12.3 a little bit. I know there's some stuff in 12.4 that I'm excited about as a Masternode owner, but 12.3, Chuck, what's exciting about? They say it's like the platform for evolution.
Let me pull up the release here real quick, because I don't have the link handy, but I saw that it just came out. I was reading on it. It's the details. So for me, between 12.3 and 12.4 got a little blurry. I wasn't sure where the line was drawn, and I wanted to go back because I don't want to misspeak, but one of those includes the opportunity for developers to set up their own dev nets. So you can spin up your own dev net that's going to be like specifically named and be able to just like test on your own chain, and you won't be dependent on testnet. And, you know, this is one of the things that kind of slowed us down on the Copay development early in the process, where testnet would go down and development would just halt because we're so dependent on that testnet. And it was really difficult to you know, get it up and running in a timely manner, again, if there were issues that needed to be resolved, because the testnet was being used for live development. Like that was where the most recent, most unstable things were landing. So it was difficult to progress continuous development when your back end kept falling down, especially when you divide the front end team as a contractor from the back end team as an internal kind of development group. So I think that's going to be one major thing: the ability to spin up dev nets and have developers out there, their own teams. They can use Amazon Web Services to spin them up. They can test on their own dev net. I think that's going to be an incredible forward progression. And I think that the establishment of some of the precursors of evolution is going to be really valuable. I think it was dips 2, 3, and 4 that land in there. The deterministic master nodes.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that in 3? That's in 12.3.
I can't. So that's what I wanted to confirm. I think it's in
12.4 now.
Yeah.
It may have moved to 12.4, but these next 2 releases I think should cover the dips 2, 3, and 4. That basically sets up a lot of opportunity. And I think if I'm reading correctly, they were going to wait until after the next voting cycle to actually launch the 12.3, because there may be some effects on the masternode voting system. If the DIP 2 or 3 is included, that means that masternode owners have the opportunity to identify up to 3 different individuals to manage their masternode. So you've got the wallet, the masternode owner address, you've got a voting address, and you've got an operator address that can receive some of the funds. And you can designate on a percentage scale how much that operator receives from the payouts. So there's some interesting kind of enhancements coming to the voting structure.
Yeah, I think that is 12.4, and I did see in the announcement that a restart will be required for masternode owners. So I think that was DIP 4 that's going to automate that. So that's definitely going to be 12.4, that part.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the clarification. I've been
right. But the deterministic, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I don't know.
I just think it's a great testament here, because I think, not that I was concerned the community would react badly to this news. I think it's a great testament that although that your contract won't be renewed, Chuck, that you're still so positive about the project in the long term, and you still want to be involved in the network in this space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What happens next is yet to see. I know you're having lots of conversations with different people. Also, as well, I think you're open to talking to the community as well about what they would like to see. I've already expressed some ideas what I would like to see, how put Dash on the map, but ultimately it's what the network values most, right? Because now you're kind of like a freelancer almost. So hey, so if there's anyone out there with opportunities for Chuck, he is available right now.
Yes, we're auctioning off this sexy young man.
Well, I have a limited amount of time available, but I would like to, one of the things that I'd like to see is maybe we can organize some kind of a AMA, Ask Me Anything, kind of an event where, masternode owners and community members can kind of come into a live chat, and they'll just respond via live video. What I would love, working at booths and showing up at conferences and having all kinds of conversations gave me a really strong insight into the needs and visceral emotional desires of people in the community from all walks of life. Now, I will say that there is a bit of a kind of a self-selection process, because only certain kinds of people go to these conferences and events, right? But that's why I go to coffee shops. That's why I go out and talk to people. And that's why I think setting up wallets at the booth is one of the best ways to engage, because you get that, you can watch them go through these steps, these aha moments, and you can kind of analyze where their frustrations are, where their pain points are. Joel, you have a great perspective on this, what the individual parts of, in that process look like, where the pain points are. And you're coming up with individual solutions like those little wallet word cards that I think really help to engage that process, right?
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that I'd love to kind of enhance on and really make the experience of onboarding new users and communicating with businesses and making the developer experience enhanced also. So, who knows, there may be hackathons or other kinds of things in my future. It depends on where we land.
Mm. Well, I was going to say, we're talking about projects that we can hopefully help out. The Free Talk Live one, the budget's full right now. I don't think that Free Talk Live is going to pass. That's another one. Hopefully we can reach out behind the scenes and help those guys through the Dash Force meetup presentation to do something. We can't, we don't have the funds to fund it completely, but hopefully we can help those guys out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we were in Keene on Monday, talking with Ian for a while. I mean, we were there, like 6 to 11 p.m. or something like that. Was that Mark? It was like 6 to 11:30 kind of.
It's about a 3-hour show. I saw that.
It was a 3-hour show. It went super fast.
Yeah, it did. It was like a 3-hour show, and then we were there for like an hour before and an hour after. We went and had some drinks with Ian at the local Dash accepting bar afterwards. But yeah, it was. I think that they're gonna be okay. He's
a great guy. Like we spent the day in Keene before. And we've actually visited a few merchants listed on discoverdash.com. That we're accepting Dash. We had some burgers. We went to like a corner news shop and bought some drinks and stuff, and it was great. And he played a key role in onboarding a lot of those businesses. So Ian's a great guy. It's not just the Free Talk Live and the Dash sponsorship and the adverts and stuff. He's actually out there adding businesses in his local town to discoverdash.com. So he's a true Dash believer as well. And there's the Keene meetup. And if you watch that Free Talk Live news show, I kept had the problem calling it a podcast, and it's a news show. So hopefully he forgives me on that part. But he in that news show, he actually showed the crypto tip thing that he actually mentioned on the Free Amigos podcast, but we actually got to see it live in action, and you can actually print them off and hand them out to people, or even showed them in the show as we did for people to redeem them. And it was a great way to onboard people new to cryptocurrency, because they can see the link, they can scan the QR code, it takes them to the website, it shows them how to install the wallet with simple instructions. Really, really great thing. And hopefully we might be able to integrate that in our shows in the future as well, to not only help incentivize people to watch the show Free Dash, right, but it's a great tool to inspire. And it's all about ease of use. If you can make something easy, then other people want to do it as well. You could put these in goodie bags at shows, events, or even meetups, and it just makes the process a lot easier sometimes. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself having 20-minute conversations with individuals where you can just hand this out and it does the whole onboarding process for you, streamlined, nice and easy. But have I killed the conversation? Crypto tips, baby.
Usually do, but it is very interesting because
just dash it.
What I really like to do is I like the one-on-one personal experience of like, hi, have you heard about Dash? Here, let me set you up with a wallet, and then getting him to install the app, explaining what the seed is, sending them, receiving, hey, this is great, and like getting that whole connection done. That's the way I like to tip. However, sometimes you don't get to have that. Sometimes you just have to like, hey, here's some buy. And then a little printed out thing that just says, they just get this little piece of paper and they're like, all right, this has money on it. And this says exactly how I can do it. And then you're like, okay. And then it kind of does it for you. And so what I'd like to do is have a big stack of those and just kind of give them out when you don't have the time to just kind of go through. And like, for example, there was plenty of people at the Dash booth who kind of were waiting around and they kind of took off because there's too many people at one time. And for the events that I run, I like that. That's okay, because I don't want people to just be like, just let me get the wall and take off. That they're getting paid to listen to our bullshit. They're getting paid to like they're getting paid to actually experience this thing and all that kind of stuff. But if you're just trying to get Dash tips out there, it would be good to have a stack of these, and like leave them on all the seats and stuff like that, and see how many people claim them, or see if one enterprising person, just goes and collects them all up and sweeps them back up.
But one thing,
there was like a dozen people or so, or 20, I don't know how many, watching the Free Talk Live video feed. And then as soon as like Mark was like holding up the QR code, within 3 minutes it was gone. Like someone was watching and just like took it. So clearly there was someone watching.
Hey, one thing that I'd read about earlier this week was the swarm, and then I saw we have an article about it. The Swarm Fund, I guess it's something to do with Masternode shares. Do we know how legit that is? Are they working with Core? I didn't read anything about it. Is this the same people that had the issue with Coinbase and they got like a cease and desist? Is that the same? Or is that, do y'all know?
I don't know.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So for those that are watching, this was the most recently published article on dashforcenews.com. Swarm Fund tokenizes Dash Masternode ownership, and it's the purpose of it is to kind of tokenize the fractional form of Dash Masternode ownership by allowing proportional ownership, but also giving you voting rights as well. But I believe this form and how it's done, it's kind of done in a, it's the way that it's been structured and put together, it complies with the SEC and regulations and stuff as well. So it's from the information that's been presented, it actually looks like a good thing. It's another super share service, but it's actually, it's legitimately done and with the voting rights as well. So I know there's a lot of people that were scared on the regulation side of things about shared masternode super share ownership, right? So this is just another onboarding vehicle. I mean, there's still Dash Neptune, there's still Splowix, Cervix, into Dash. So yeah, I just see this as an increased accessibility for those that will be interested. So yes, they are Swarm Fund, and I'm sure they have other clients as well. So this is just more exposure for Dash.
Yeah, one of the articles I'd read, they're going to branch out as well. It's not just going to be the Dash Masternodes. They're going to branch out. And I don't know that, how official they are or not. I don't know that we have any control over it. I mean, it's something that I think they can just do it and say that. And, they can start, getting money for these tokens. And I don't think we really have any control over it. So hopefully they are legit. They seem to be. They seem to be going down the proper regulation routes with SEC and everything. So it looks like a good thing so far.
Yeah, I mean, from their website, it looks like they've been around for quite some time. Their social media is quite established. So yeah, for me, it looks good. If anyone has any more information on that, it'll be great. We've only just really broke the news. So there is some quotes as well from them as well, actually, in the article. So if that interests you, definitely go check that out. That was done by one of our writers at Dashforce News, Justin, who was also at PortFest and did a great job. I just want to pivot back to Chuck, as we've got him here, man of the hour. So Chuck, you mentioned about doing a Ask Me Anything, and I think that's a really great idea. So I'm sure many people, Masternode owners, community members will have questions about Dash Core development. I would be more than happy to facilitate that video live chat environment in the Dashforce YouTube channel. Perhaps myself, Joel, and Brian could moderate the live chat, pass questions to you to answer, if you'd be happy.
That would be really helpful. Yeah. I think I need somebody to like feed me the questions and line them up in such a way. Yeah, excellent. I think that would be great. And then I can just kind of rapid fire respond as best as I can. I had a particular view of Core, and working in a decentralized organization, coming from, a couple decades of corporate development, it was a drastic shift for me. And it took, I made some assumptions up front about operating autonomously and trying to take on as much as I could that was most appropriate for my work. But as the organization shifted, there was misalignment that happened. It just kind of naturally happened that way. And so that was a definite learning experience. And I think, it seems to me that decentralized organizations, what I think one of the things that I learned between decentralized organizations and centralized or corporations is that there's still a commonality of challenges between software teams in decentralized organizations and software teams that share an office space, which is, a lot of time is spent figuring out what exactly to work on. Like you might have these big goals and these big dreams and you might share vision, you might have common, but how you execute that is a really hard thing to coordinate, even with systems like Jira or Trello or Slack or all these tools that we have to enable communications and to enable work organization and things like that, it's still a very difficult challenge. And I think it's one of the hardest things in software development is to get the focus in the right place at the right time on the right thing, so that progress is coordinated in a way across multiple teams that delivers on expectations at the end. And a big part of that is just understanding what those expectations are. And I don't. Sometimes disagreements happen on that. People aren't always in agreement about what those expectations are, and without an authoritative source, as there may be in a centralized organization, then it becomes, very much kind of a matter of personalities and influence and reputation, And so I think that those things are not, they shouldn't be discounted. And that's definitely one of the major things that I learned about this experience.
So in addition to the Ask Me Anything video, and feel free to decline, as you're accumulating ideas on how to move forward from here in terms of offering services and value to the network, once again, Dashforce would be happy to oblige, but I think maybe it would be good if you could get those ideas together, put them on slides or whatever, and just do like a 5-minute video to the community saying, look, here's some ideas that I've got, here's this, here's that, what do you think? Do you like this? Do you hate it? Do you have any other ideas? How can I make this better? What do you want to see? Yeah, and what do you value?
Ride your chuck cart by and see what plates people want to pick off of it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. No, I love that because, when I came to work for Dash, I really loved the idea of like serving this anonymous group of people that I knew would probably flood me with requests. But I wouldn't be able to like correctly assess it or pick the right work at the right time. Or, I knew that was going to be a challenge. I think having a little bit more direct connection in that way would be really, really helpful. And I would love to try and figure out a way to kind of systematize where we would like to go as a community. I think that we have a voting mechanism that is the Masternode network, but maybe we need something a little bit more. Maybe we need, some kind of, back and forth loop that is continuous, that can be iterated, that, enables an agreement outside of the Masternode network or in addition to the Masternode network that can fold into proposals that kind of are pre-approved, I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Non-proposal based voting system would be great, like a polling system. And so if you could just poll all the Masternode and that they'd all know that there's a poll before them they should do. And that, and obviously now we get into like spam filter type things, and we'll see how that turns out. But the idea seems interesting to be able to poll people. And then another thing would be interesting to do would be like sometimes I have like a short time frame and I want to ask something to see if the Masternodes are okay with it before we get to fund the next cycle for doing something stupid. And sometimes rather than getting a whole consensus, it would just be good to have the consensus of a quorum. So you just say, bring up a quorum of like 8 or 10 Masternode owners and just say, do you guys approve this idea? And it's just, you can do it in a couple minutes. And if they all approve, chances are that most Masternode owners will be okay with this. It's not too risky for like more minor decisions.
Right. Well, and for the major ones, I think that there's an opportunity to kind of build a somewhat of a social system that enables something like a liquid democracy where you can kind of delegate. If you don't know something on a subject, maybe you can delegate your own vote to somebody that you know and trust in a particular matter. Those are things that I think we could explore with these kinds of opportunities that wouldn't have direct necessarily protocol implementation impact, but would have very much more community impact and community leverage, and enable us to kind of, gauge where we're at. What are the factions? What are the arguments for and against certain kinds of things? It might help us to get a little bit more refined on that. So yeah, I'm excited about a lot of opportunities. I'm talking to certain business owners that are very much engaged in Dash, and they have projects that that I've taken a look at, and I've seen some things that are coming out that look really, really exciting. I think, I mean, there's been some proposals regarding the Dash Nexus project, right? That's very masternode focused, right? And I think what they have is wonderful, and I've consulted with them a couple times as a Dash core team member, but maybe we can engage also on that and create some kind of ideas or bridges between how the community engages with this system in a way that masternodes can leverage. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And I want to leverage my development skills, my UX knowledge, and my presence and voice that I guess a lot of people appreciate to promote Dash and understand and kind of facilitate an understanding between community members, core, and anybody who wants to move this whole crypto movement forward and really bring an elevated level of financial freedom to all people, which is really my main goal.
Yeah, I think another opportunity that the guys would agree with too is, we could always use an extra writer from time to time. So if you got anything cooking,
oh
there,
my goodness. You know what? I when I first started working at Dash, I said, hey guys, maybe I can write some articles for you guys. And it just got so overwhelming that I couldn't focus. But now maybe, I've got a little bit more free time to punch out an article a week or something, give an op-ed. I think I would love to do that. I've been inspired to write by a number of people that I respect, and people say that I should be writing a book on certain things. And, that's something I would love to explore. Yeah, certainly.
This is why it's important to have that dialogue and narrative with the community and the Masternode network, but the community at large as well. Because, if I had my way, and as I've already expressed to you, I would have you doing the developer circuit, developer YouTube channels, actually going out and engaging pre-Dash Evolution, but also, extra on top of that. However, that's just my point of view, and I believe in the network itself. So that's why I think
there's certainly a need there, because I went to an Ethereum meetup once here in Denver, and they were having a night dedicated to like voting systems and voting mechanisms, right? And they had about 5 presentations that were like 10 minutes each. Each of these guys was building a token or exploring ideas about voting systems. Not one of them had even looked at Dash, like what the Dash system was doing, and I was surprised.
Yeah, there's a big media blackout for Dash, and this is one of the, I guess this is a good segue point for a little bit too. But I was doing some research into a bunch of different media outlets to try to reach out to try to get more coverage and stuff like that. And none of the major publications just ever have any of the top Dash stories in them. And all of the Dash related publications, all of the publications that had any kind of new Dash news other than just it's an item on like the Market Watch post or whatever. All of those publications I checked, and they had lower view counts than Dashforce News. So Dashforce News is literally the largest site publishing news on Dash right now. Maybe there's some investment magazines that like Ryan gets a press release into or something like that might have higher. But for as far as like crypto related news, there's just it's pretty bleak. And that's like, I feel like Dash is one of the biggest and best and most important and frequently used in merchant transactions and et cetera, most real projects in the space, if not the most. It's like really up there, but it's getting this blacklisting from the crypto elite. And I don't think it's all just blacklisting. I think some of it is just, we haven't heard anything. We're just going to follow whatever laziness hype gets thrown our way. So
yeah,
Dashforce is
competing for attention.
Yes, Dashforce is going to be competing a lot harder for that attention soon.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's one of the things
for a while.
You kind of touched on it there. That's one of the things that excites me about this show with Danny, the digital cash evolution is, I think it's really important, and I hope that the Masternode network agrees with us on this, that we branch out to more than just Dash specific news, that we start branching out and talking to people outside of the Dash space so that we can demonstrate relevancy to people who are not in the crypto and Dash space, but at the same time saying, okay, yeah, you've pointed out a problem and I see how you're solving this problem. Here's how Dash is solving this problem. You know, maybe we can create some kind of a dialogue and that is relevant to people, a direct connection to their visceral use cases, their needs, their emotional desires, directly to, okay, well, that's happening, so here's how Dash, or here's where Dash fits in. And if Dash doesn't fit in, which I can't imagine it not, you know, then we leave it alone and we just give it a mention and we say, hey, sponsored by Dash. You know, I think that's a reasonable direction to go. But that's one of the things that attracted me to, like, Amanda B. Johnson's The Daily Decrypt, right? I was always excited when there was a new episode up, because you never knew what was coming. You never knew what was going to be on there. And when it started becoming Dash detailed, there became a certain amount of predictability, but it was still valuable. Like, now I felt like I had to watch that one just to catch up on, you know, anything, make sure that I didn't miss anything, you know? But having that kind of exposure, that outreach, to various other kinds of communities, I think it's going to be a real big opportunity, especially on a traditionally, you know, old school financial kind of radio format, where everybody's heard about crypto at this point, but nobody really knows what's going on. We can be a resource for those people and, you know, kind of handhold them in, guide them into this community that I think is very welcoming and valuable for mass audiences.
When is that supposed to launch? Is there a date or anything?
I don't know when it's going to be syndicated across multiple, all the other cities. But right now it's already in Phoenix. Yeah, it's already in Phoenix.
I had the pleasure of jumping on during PorcFest, and we had some callers in who were on their commute home from driving around Phoenix, calling in about, oh, how do I get started? What do I do this? How do you even get some? What's up with that? And yeah, so it's definitely already getting 10 noobs, and hopefully we can get a lot more new people in, and this could be a really big kind of thing. People, all this media stuff takes a lot of hard work, and that's a thing that people have a lot of arguments about, like, oh, well, you got to push this so hard. Bitcoin didn't need to be pushed. Well, there's tons of media outlets, tons of radio shows, tons of, you know, publications, everything that are dedicated to this field of cryptocurrency, and by making their living, they're first and foremost promoting Bitcoin, because that's like the daddy that took them all there. And so just the amount of earned media, like, they're all working directly in that ecosystem, and just getting into that area takes just a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle, and you know, the Dash community has been very kind of taking a back seat on the whole media narrative. A lot of times they tend to be just like, I don't know, let's just sit back and just wait for it all to turn out. You know, it's the whole Galahad approach of through our righteousness we shall prevail. It's like, hey, you gotta kind of like get on that elbow grease, get that hard work going, and get out there. And definitely I'm prepared to do my part in that, and looks like Chuck is too. And then Mark, maybe, I don't know, he's a little on the fence over there.
I'll do whatever it takes.
That's the thing. Like, you hit the nail on the head there too, because that sentiment is definitely. I think there's agreement even within Dash Core, but their elbow grease, you know, manifests a little bit differently. It manifests as code commits and you know, video demos or outputs of designs and those sorts of things. Whereas with us, it's wallets set up, or us, I say people in the community, people who are engaged in the media. It's about getting wallets set up. It's about getting questions answered. It's about providing information and valuable resources, right? It's a different kind of approach in terms of deliverables. Maybe a little bit harder to measure, but you know, maybe that's something that we can work on too. How do we measure success in this space?
Yes, and that's the other thing, though, is the Bitcoin community. There was really no Bitcoin core group. There was, you know, Satoshi, and then, hey, here, Gavin, you have the keys to the commit access. And then Bitcoin grew up so fast around not having any centralized structure. And Dash also was completely decentralized, but had a very competent core team. And so I think the community sort of came around the idea of, well, 80-90% of the budget's going to the core team, and then we're all going to like do what they do, and we can do little side bits here and there. And then we had this giant growth over last year, and now we have more non-core elements growing up. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people we're trying to do everything Core's way when Core should be doing things Core's way, and everyone else should be playing to their strengths. And now is a time where we're really going to flourish, where we have everyone exactly in the place that they should be, everyone doing the work they should be, everyone doing the best of their abilities. No one's waiting on anyone anymore. Just getting to work. There's a lot of work to be done.
Well, speaking of Core, next week we have a special guest, drum roll.
What is it, confirmed?
Brian Taylor, Dash Core CEO, will be on the Free Amigos podcast next Friday. So you do not want to miss that. It's going to be good.
Will he be wearing a giraffe costume? Because if not, I'm going on strike.
Or maybe we should, just out of respect. I don't know. It'll be quite interesting. Let's go on Amazon and buy some outfits. Yeah, I think it's going to be great to have Ryan on. He has expressed he's wanted to come on previously, but he's been such a busy bunny. Last year, he was wearing 3 hats, remember. It wasn't just the CEO position. He was helping out with business development and finance as well as the team was scaling. So he's been very, very busy. So this is going to be a great chance for him to talk about what he's been up to. I'm looking forward to learning more about the Dash Ventures, the fund for Dash. I mean, like, everyone's wondering, because that could go in so many directions. So it'd be great to get an update on that. I'm
just waiting for Dash Adventures, the new theme park coming soon to a city near you.
We need the price to go up a little bit for that, but I mean, it's plausible.
We got a water
it could
slide.
happen.
It's okay.
It's
Just
feasible.
put up a water slide,
I thought that was going to be a Dungeons and Dragons group. Apparently, I was misinformed.
I would need to speak to Joshua on that, because he's the expert in that field, and I wouldn't do anything in that part without consulting with him first.
Dash Adventures and the Legends of the Masternode Quorum. That actually kind of does sound, does kind of follow a little bit.
That's a dungeon crawl if I've ever heard one.
Right. So so is there any questions for Chuck in the live chat, or this is a great opportunity? Obviously, Chuck's not going to be a stranger. Like, he's a friend to Dash Force. We see him as a family member, so he's always going to be about, no matter what happens, no matter what direction he goes in.
Yeah. I'll pop in anytime I can. There was a conversation, some brief, I don't know if it was trolling or what, but about the price of Dash, and
I bought 1,000. What happened?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at CoinMarketCap right at this moment, and a thing that has happened in the past is happening right now, and it's an uncommon kind of rare thing. Basically, you've got a bloody market, right? Everything's red except for Dash right now on CoinMarketCap. It's got 0.58% in the green, and in my experience, when I've seen this kind of thing, like, Dash seems to be kind of a leading indicator of bottoms, and it's already kind of doing an upturn. This is not financial advice, everybody, okay? But I've seen this kind of thing before, and it's always an indicator. It's heartening to me when I see, of course, Tether is up 0.15% also, but it's intended to be stable. So, knowing that this one coin that we're talking about, Dash, is still kind of just holding on in a market of against the wind, is always encouraging to me, and there's a few others out there that I always like to take a tick on the outliers and just kind of pay attention to them for a period of time and see how they do, and maybe do a little research. That's always an indicator for me. So, in terms of what happened to the price, if that's the question, I mean, if you're paying attention, this market has cycles, and I think the big downturn in 2013 for the whole crypto market, it was long. Like, there was that long bear that we had between 2013, 2014, 2015, right? I didn't ride through that.
Sounds like a great, like, little local pub in a rural southwestern town that's starting to get gentrified, is the Long Bear. Would you just love to have a few microbrews at the Long Bear?
That does sound like a good one. I'll bet a lot of crypto people would buy the Long Bear. But yeah, so I mean, I think maybe this is a repetition of that kind of pattern. If it is, it won't be as long because there's more people interested. Who knows? And I would say just watch the indicators. I'm going to try to be earning, when the market is down. I'm going to be earning because I'm all in this space. And for me, like, I just needed to deliver value and try and earn.
So I'll remind you guys that when I started living off of Dash, when I was being broke, and I started living off of Dash, my going rate for articles was about, I think it was like 3 Dash per article.
Oh wow!
Because that was like at $7 per article, or what, like $7 per Dash. So that's what it was. So it's like 20 to $25 was like, you know, and by the way, all these like Cointelegraph writers and people like that, you think they're making the big bucks? About $20 an article. Think about how many you have to do to feed yourself on that. Holy moly. So that's why Dash Force News is always like, you know, do way better than, you know, treats them more like human beings than these other things. But anyway, point being, $7 Dash was where I started at when I started, you know, working with the actually 4 Dash. It's like around 10, 11. So yeah, what market crash? We're way up. And that's the thing, is if you kind of zoom out on that, I mean, I do feel bad for the people that are like, I bought at 1,000, what happened? Just because, but the thing is, if you bought and you did buy what you could afford to lose, you're not going to lose because you hold a little longer and it goes back up. But the thing is, like, the people who are the sad stories are like the people who bought Bitcoin at like 18, 19 grand, and then like, 2 weeks later their wife leaves them when it crashes. It's like, what were you doing? Like, you couldn't have held on like a year to get it back, your investment back or something? Like, what the hell?
Right. Well, you know, whenever I see that kind of story, I'm like, well, there was more going on there than just the money, right?
Course.
I mean, money tends, I mean, it's one of the top 3 or 5 issues of divorce, but, you know, typically there's other things going on, you know, lack of communication. If you're not on the same team, don't play with your money. Don't take risks.
To be fair, that Reddit post did have a little bit of it, like they talked over investing most of their money in it, but then like the last few grand he did it without her permission or without her knowing, and then it crashed. It's like, I'm sure it must have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe she was just a node digger, you know what I mean? But you never know. But like, that could have been a thing. But anyway,
watch out for those. Well, it's another great episode, guys. I hate to say it's time to wrap up, but it probably is. We'll have the after party, and
Mark's buddy's back in the live chat, so I don't think we need to stay around too much longer.
Right. So,
Chuck,
thanks
for having me on, guys.
Thank you for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. When are you thinking about doing the Ask Me Anything? Do you want to do it in the next week, or you want to give it a couple of weeks to have a
well? Before I commit to anything, how about let's just say before the next voting cycle.
Okay.
And then we can promote it. We can pick a date, and we can have some time to figure out like what that looks like. We can get some feedback from the masternode community and the general community, and see what that looks like. You know, maybe we can set up a decent forum for it.
And do you want people to contact you now from the community? Because obviously now I'm guessing your dash.org email address doesn't work anymore. So what's the best way forward now?
So yeah, you can, if anybody wants to email me, you can email me at chuck@screenscholar.com. There's nothing at the website. I know a bunch of people are going to go check it out, so that website is not up. But you can email me at chuck@screenscholar.com. And of course, I'm on Twitter. You can direct message me on Twitter, Chuck Williams 37.
You can put your face in front of Chuck's conscious stream, just get it all.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's called Chuck's conscious stream, right? What is it?
That's right.
What is your handle? At Chuck Williams 37, or what is your Twitter? Okay, there we go. Just getting that clear.
Okay, well, and of course we'll keep you posted. So as soon as Chuck lets us know about any videos or ideas, or he wants to communicate to the network, we'll be happy to facilitate those, and we'll keep you posted. Don't forget, we have the CEO next week on for next Friday, so you don't want to miss that. Also, as well, we'll be going to the after party now in Discord, dashchat.org, where there's 10 spaces available where we chat for a few hours about anything and everything from proposals to ideas, and some of the best ideas in Dash in terms of proposals going forward for the network have actually been inspired and built on from that after party. So
yes, and some of the best screaming at people you disagree with has happened there too, when it's not recorded. So
true.
This is very true as well. So yeah, of course, if you'd like to talk to us as well about anything and everything Dash related, please come by. So it's our Discord community channel, but if you're new to it, dashchat.org will give you an invite. You can sign up, and by default, you'll be sent to the Dash Chat general channel and just say, hey, is there any space left? And I'll keep an open eye, and I'll try to invite you into that chat.
Now, just remember, if you're new to it, please just don't come. We don't need that.
So looking really forward to speaking to Ryan Taylor next week. And yeah, thank you, Chuck, for coming on. I'm glad to hear it's not all doom and gloom. Very positive. I'm sure, just like Dash Force, outside of Core, you know, the future's bright, and you can contribute so much more because you're a jack of all trades. You can literally go in any direction, from speaking to development to anything. You're a complete mixture. So I'm sure there'll be many ideas from the network for you. So this is not the end. This is just the beginning of a new chapter.
Yeah, I hope so. I'd like to thank you guys for having me on, and thanks to the Masternode Network for funding this operation.
Excellent. Is there anything else, chaps, that you would like to address before we sign up and sign off?
What's up?
No? Okay, well, that was episode 59 of the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next Friday, same Dash time, same Dash channel. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend and stay dashy.
Stay dashy.
Stay dashy.
Peace. Woo!